And we are live. Welcome back to the Content Swap Podcast. You are joined by Parker and
Aaliyah.
And this is the podcast where we assign each other something to watch or engage with for the week, and then we talk about it at the end of the week. And just by listening, you are joining us in that process.
I just realized I don't have a pick for next week.
I'll
just come up with it on the fly.
I do. I'm prepared.
Okay.
I got a weird one.
All right.
So
Gotcha.
stay tuned for that at the end of the podcast. So what's new this week? What's going on?
Nothing. Having a tea party tomorrow, and I'm very excited and a little stressed.
And why are you stressed?
Because I'm a Virgo, and so I just want everything to be absolutely perfect and like look spectacular, and I want all my friends to have so much fun. And I don't know, I'm just like, now I'm like, do I have everything I need? Is like, do I have things for this person? Like, what if somebody doesn't want this? What if somebody doesn't want that? What do I do?
Yeah, we've been at it all day. I did some exercising this morning, and I dropped you off at a cafe, and then I met you afterwards, and then we went to the grocery store to make sure to get
three
things.
Grocery stores.
Yeah, 3 different grocery stores. And then we're here now recording this podcast, and then tonight we're going to a book event locally, so that'll be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And then tomorrow is the
tea party.
The tea party in question. So, yeah, heavy weekend. Heavy may not be the right word.
A lot going on.
It's very busy. Yeah, a lot going on.
And I have something after the tea party.
You have a thing after the tea party?
Well, like relaxed hangout with my friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I will be hanging out, probably playing Metroid Prime or Resident Evil 4 Remake. Ooh, very exciting. All right, you want to just go ahead and jump right in?
Anything new with you?
I mean, I'm still playing Metroid Prime. Resident Evil 4 came out, and I really want to play it. That's pretty much what's going on with me.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump in then.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, so last week I was assigned Speed, which came out in 1994. For some reason, I thought it was like an early 2000s movie. It was not, which makes sense, I guess, seeing the movie. So this movie, like, really all revolves around one event. Well, like 2 events. So I kind of have to...
It's more like 3 events.
I guess 3 events. The first one's kind of like brief. So I feel like I have to just kind of like go through it, and I'll try and go through it briefly because otherwise I wouldn't have a summary for you.
Okay.
So to start off, there are a bunch of people in this like office building. A big group of people get into an elevator, and all of a sudden I jumped ahead. Before that even happens, there's a security guard who finds this man in like the basement or whatever of this office building, and he's like, hey, and sees a guy and is like, what are you doing down here? You're not supposed to be down here. And the guy literally just stabs him in the ear and like kills him. So there's a bad guy in the building. Going back to the people who get in the elevator. People get in the elevator, there's an explosion, and the elevator drops, but it doesn't completely drop all the way. So they're panicking. They're like, something's wrong with the elevator. They're not thinking like, oh, someone did something to this. They just think the elevator's messed up. However, we see like a huge crowd of police officers come into the building, and they're being debriefed on the situation. So they're aware that there is this bad guy, and I think it's like they've been looking for this guy for a while now.
I don't know.
They seem familiar with him.
There's a guy, they got to take him out.
Yeah. So there's this guy. They're going to save the people in the elevator. They know there are people stuck in there.
And it's an express elevator, so it's an elevator that, usually goes from like one of the bottom floors to one of the top floors. So it's not like it stops on every floor. So it's difficult because they're like trapped halfway up the building, and you can't just open up a door to get them out. It's like there's access panels and things to get access to the people, and so they have to like get into the elevator shaft and stuff.
Yeah. So Keanu and his partner Harry.
I don't think you've clarified at any point that Keanu Reeves was in this movie. So
I'm doing it now.
Oh, okay.
Keanu Reeves.
Oh,
our main character.
Wow.
And his partner Harry. Keanu Reeves name in this movie is Jack, but I will probably just refer to him as Keanu.
Jack Traven.
Keanu. And his partner, I think his partner's name is Harry.
Yeah.
They are given instructions to do something. I don't quite remember what they were told. However, Keanu's just like, something's off. I don't trust this. I'm going to do my own thing. And Harry's like, oh my gosh, like, you're going to get us in trouble, all this kind of stuff. Long story short, Keanu does his own thing. His partner helps him, and they get the people out of the elevator. Everyone else was being incompetent. So they get the people off the elevator, and then they come across the bad guy. Like, Keanu's like, I know where the bad guy is. Let's go find him.
Yeah, and he's all like, something's not right.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah.
Something smells off.
He says a bunch of really dumb lines. And it's very distracting.
It's great.
But what can you do? You still love Keanu regardless. So Keanu and Harry come across the bad guy, and the bad guy kind of like takes Harry hostage. But Keanu manages to like free Harry, get the bad guy to free Harry by shooting Harry, but like not lethally, obviously, with shooting him in like the leg. And then the bad guy goes off, and we hear this big explosion. So we think like, oh, the bad guy exploded. But turns out he did not. He's still alive and kicking. So Keanu's
But they don't know that.
Right. So Keanu's on a high. He's getting his little coffee and his donuts. He's like, woo, just talking to his friend Bob, who's a bus driver. And all of a sudden, as he's walking to his Ford Bronco, ooh, baby.
Oh.
Love that Ford Bronco. As he's walking to his Ford Bronco, a bus explodes. And it's the bus that Bob just got on.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, no, Bob. And he like runs over there. And it's just, there's no hope. Bob's gone. He just is exploded.
Oh, yeah. No, Bob is...
There's no way Bob survives.
Bob is the first of many casualties.
Yes. And so there's a payphone right by this like event, and it starts ringing. So Keanu picks up, and guess who it is? The bad guy.
Now, yeah, I didn't think about this while watching the movie, but like, why did he think to pick up the payphone, you think?
I mean... It was ringing, and he like how
I guess payphones are not supposed to ring, right?
I don't know. In so many movies, they do.
I feel like you can't call a payphone.
Like, what number do you call? Or is it
the
like
payphone number?
Or like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's weird.
I don't know how payphones. I've never, literally in my life, never
Bus
used a payphone.
explodes, the payphone rings, and you're like, oh,
I mean, if
I gotta answer this.
If the payphone was ringing right after this event, I'd be like, that's too much of a coincidence. Let me pick it up. I mean, if any payphone rung, I'd be curious, and I'd be like, hello?
That's true. That's true. He's like, oh no, bus exploded, but the payphone's ringing. I'm really curious. But like, what was that?
Maybe.
Gotta go answer.
I mean, I probably would.
I mean, it was a good call because it was
the bad guy.
It was the villain. So,
like, do you know the bad guy's name? Because I do not.
I
keep referring to him
I forgot
as
his
bad guy.
name. He's played by Dennis Hopper. Yeah, I forgot his name.
I'll just keep calling him the bad guy. So the bad guy calls and is like, did you see what I did? And he's like, yes. And the bad guy lets him know that there is another bus that has a bomb on it. And if that bus goes under 50 miles per hour, it will explode. And it is full of passengers.
Mm-hmm.
And so Keanu's like, I gotta go save the people on this bus. I gotta go find it. And the guy tells him where it's at.
Yeah, he tells him like it's
the
on this
number.
corner. It's 2525 or something like that.
Yeah. So like the bad guy wants him to find the bus. And what the bad guy wants is he wants like, I think it's $3.7 million that he feels he deserves. Because I guess they had busted like an operation of his prior, and like.
Well, we don't know why he wants 3.7 million yet in the story, unless you want to just say what his motivation is now.
I feel like it's not that important.
All right, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I thought it was like he like got an operation busted prior and was like, you all screwed up this thing, and so now you owe me money or whatever.
I don't know. The bad guy we find out later on in the movie is a retired police officer from Atlanta who was working on the bomb squad, and then like as part of some operation, it got like botched or something. His like left thumb got exploded off. Because you could see, like, he talks on the phone with his right hand crossing over the whole time because he doesn't have a left thumb.
But
which
you
the
deserve
prosthetics-
3.7 million because your thumb got. Which
Well,
like
he was forced to retire because of that.
that's
Anyway,
a dumb motivation. I'm sorry.
is this iPad connected to the internet?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to look something up. But continue.
So anyway, so that's Keanu sets off. He gets in his Ford Bronco, which was like the best scene ever. Keanu Reeves in a Ford Bronco. I loved it. He gets in his Ford Bronco and he goes to find this bus. So meanwhile, until he gets there, we see the passengers on the bus. And guess who pops up and gets on the bus? Miss Sandy Bullock, which we love, and she plays Annie. So Sandy gets on the bus and she's chilling and she's like cool with the bus driver and everything, and she's sitting and she's talking to people. And so Keanu eventually finds the bus and he's like honking his horns. He's trying to yell at them. Like he like catches up with the bus on the highway, gets out of his car, tries to chase it down. The bus driver's like, this man is insane. And all the people on the bus are like, this man is insane.
Mm-hmm.
The bus takes off, keeps going, does not stop for him because why would you let somebody who's chasing after the bus on the highway get on? So he takes this guy's car who's also on the highway, and he starts driving to catch up with the bus, and he's trying to yell at them. The bus driver doesn't hear him. Everybody's like, what is he doing?
He's like, there's a bomb on the bus.
Yeah, he's trying to tell them what's up. The guy next to him is like, what the heck? There's a bomb on that bus. And you're like, you have me right here next to it.
Yeah. I mean, Keanu just like commandeers this man's vehicle because he needs it to stop this bus. And this man is just along for the ride. But I feel like that would not happen, right? I don't know.
I mean, he would probably like have the guy get out of the car.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking your car.
I feel like in movies, police officers have to commandeer civilians' vehicles all the time for like chase sequences and things. Is that like legal? Are they allowed to do that?
I don't know any police officer who's doing
It's
that.
all just movie stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Fair enough. I'm just like, I'm wondering if there's a clause somewhere in the law.
I'm sure if it was that dire, then it's like, sure. But the police department would have to deal with it after and like compensate that person.
All right. Fair enough.
Which they probably are like, don't ever do that because we don't want to compensate that person.
Yeah, totally.
So anyways, so he's not able to get through to this bus driver. So he has the guy who's whose car it is, write a note saying like bomb on bus. And the guy Keanu drives in front of the bus and the guy holds up the sign and it like blows onto the windshield of the bus. And the bus driver's like, oh my gosh. And so his immediate reaction is to slow down. But Keanu's like, no. Like keep going, speed up. Because again, they can't go under 50 miles per hour or else it'll explode. So Keanu does this crazy maneuver where he has the guy who's in the car with him, hold onto the steering wheel and the gas pedal, and like they get close to the bus. He tells the bus driver to open his doors, and Keanu just jumps onto the bus, which is wild, but not the wildest thing that happens in this movie.
It's pretty awesome.
So when he gets on the bus, he doesn't immediately tell the passengers there's a bomb on the bus. The bus driver knows. And so he's just kind of talking to the bus driver, like, I need you to stay over 50 miles per hour. Like, don't go any slower. So the bus driver's aware of what's going on. But everyone else is like, this man is crazy. Like, what the heck? Mm-hmm. However, there is a passenger who I guess had committed some sort of crime. Mm-hmm. And so when Keanu's like, I'm a police officer, you all. Like, I'm not this, like, crazy person.
He's like, we have a situation on board.
Yeah. The guy thinks that Keanu's after him. So he stands up and like pulls out a gun on Keanu. And Keanu's like, look, I don't know what you did. I don't care what you did. I'm not here for you.
He's like, it's cool now. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. He's like, calm down. I'm not here for you. There's something else going on. But the guy is just like in a panic. And so another passenger tries to tackle him. But in the process of tackling him, the gun goes off and it shoots the bus driver. So the bus driver is like severely injured, and cannot drive anymore.
He can no longer drive.
Yes, there we go. And so Sandra Bullock, who's pretty close with this bus driver, is like concerned, and she goes and she takes the bus. She starts to drive it, and they like get the bus driver to a different seat so that they can like put pressure on his wound and everything. And so from here,
We're only like 40 minutes in this 2-hour movie.
Yes. At this point, Keanu lets them know, all right, y'all, there's a bomb on this bus, which is why I'm doing all this. And I need you all to listen and cooperate so that I can get you all to safety. And so he gives Sandra the rundown of like, I need you to stay over 50. Don't go below that or else it'll go off.
And he's been calling, his police buddies. They're aware of the situation.
Yes. And his partner, Harry, is like trying to figure out, I guess he's like a part of the bombs unit and is like trying to figure out how to dismantle the bomb.
And figure out who the bomber is.
Yeah. So an issue occurs because Sandra's driving and there's traffic on the highway, like standstill traffic because it's LA and that's how it be.
Yeah.
And so she's like, we have a problem. What do I do? And so he's like, all right, get off the highway, which in the process of getting off the highway, they tore up some cars.
Oh, just decked them.
And I'm like, if people were in those cars on the passenger side where the bus literally smashes like...
I think it was on the driver's side.
I mean, sorry, on the driver's side, yeah. I'm like, how are they not dead? Like, how are they not severely injured? That would be impossible.
I mean, they probably are, but this is a movie, so...
They're like, we don't care.
We're like, those cars are not the bus, so we don't mind.
I was so concerned for them. I was like... They're all messed up.
They're
and
all
it's
just
tons of cars.
They're all just empty cars with no people in them. You don't even have time to look to see if there's a person in them.
So yeah. So I said I cannot believe no one is dead. So
Bob's dead.
Yeah. So they get off the highway. And it's tough because there's cars everywhere. They're like flying. They're on the opposite side of the road at one point. Sandra hits this stroller and she thinks she's just murdered a baby, but it turned out it was a stroller full of cans.
I got a note on that, but I'll come back to that.
Okay. They're having to make these like sharp turns. And so there's a part where, so at this point, Keanu gets on the phone with the other police department and they're like, we are clearing roads for you so that you have a like safer route. And so they kind of are giving him directions of where to go. And at one point they have to make this real sharp turn. And she's like, I'm going so fast. Like we are going to tip this bus over. She's like, there is no way I'm making that sharp right without this whole thing falling over. And then we all explode. And so the solution, of course, is to get everybody to sit on the right side of the bus. And so that when she makes the right, it doesn't like tip over, like the weight distribution, helps. And so it works, obviously, because it's a movie. And they're all like, woohoo, that worked. And I'm like, y'all, there's still a bomb on the bus.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the little things, small victories along the way.
Oh my gosh.
That's what makes it so fun,
At this point, this is something that I really hate in movies like this, where there's this like super stressful situation, bad things are happening, and they try to bring romance into it. I'm like, I hate it because at this point, Keanu and Sandra are like flirting with one another. And I'm like, this is not the time to flirt. I'm like, if I were in this situation, the last thing I'm thinking about is this attractive man next to me. Like, yes, I would love him in any typical situation. But like, I'm too stressed out. I'm too scared. I could die.
Yeah, know. It's
like,
a movie.
I'm not thinking about you. Like, no, get out of here. And if you try to flirt, I will probably go off on you,
Well,
Just saying.
I mean, she was flirting back.
She was, which is why I was like, ugh, these movies. So the bad guy calls Keanu and tells him that he, oh wait, am I missing something?
I don't know.
Hold on.
I mean, the bad guy makes a lot of calls,
one
so
of the rules,
this could happen at any time.
Yeah, one of the rules the bad guy had after he realizes that, or I think he told him before he even got on the bus, he was like, if you try to help these people off, I will detonate the bomb. Like, I'll kill everybody.
Yeah.
So you can't help anybody off. And so I think at this point, the police officers had pulled up with like this big like platform.
Yeah, they because they were, as we were kind of going through, like, just to kind of recap, he got on the bus on the highway, then they got off the highway, and then they were going through the streets, and then they made that sharp right turn where they put everybody on one side to get onto the unfinished 105 freeway.
Yeah.
Which was perfect because there's nobody on that freeway.
Yeah, but they didn't know it was unfinished.
Well, it was unopened to the public because it was still under construction, but the whole unfinished thing, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
So anyway, they're on this open
teaser for later.
Yeah, they're on this closed highway where there's no other cars. And so that allows the police department to pull up this like platform car right next, like really close to the bus, so that people can like jump off the bus, or like they'll put like they can put like a little thing, like get them off the bus onto this platform to be safe. And so the first person they really need to save is the bus driver who's been shot. And so the bad guy calls Keanu and is like, I see that you're trying to get people off the bus. Like, don't forget, that's breaking the rules and I will explode the bus. And so Keanu's like begging him, like, can I at least just get this bus driver off? Like, the bus driver has been shot. He's going to die. Like, can I do that? And I won't try and get anyone else off the bus. So the bad guy agrees for some reason. I don't know why. He had some mercy.
I don't know.
But he agrees, and they are able to get the old bus driver off the bus, the one who was shot. So there's this older woman who is on the bus, and she's just like,
I have to get off of this bus.
She's like, I'm not trying to die. I'm just going to try and jump off the bus too. And because the bad guy sees her hand kind of like reaching out to like the other police officers, he sets off like a smaller bomb that was like, I guess on like where the door was, the entryway was. And she clearly like falls, and they like roll over her. So she's dead.
And on the news, they're like, oh, a woman just went under the tires of the bus. This is horrible.
Yeah. And Sandra Bullock is distraught because that was another friend of hers, another person that she knew.
Yeah.
And she's like crying and everything like that. And Keanu comforts her. And all is well for the meantime.
Yeah. You're pointing out the whole romance thing is actually like, yeah, wait.
It's dumb. I hate it.
All right, continue though.
So yeah, I'm going to try and speed this up because we only have so much time to record this. But
yeah.
So this is where a big event happens. They're driving on this highway, and the police officer calls Keanu's like, so we got a problem. And Keanu's like, what's the problem? And they're like, so this highway's unfinished, which means there's about a 50-foot gap in the highway where there's just nothing there.
Oh, yeah.
And Keanu's like, okay, cool. What do we do? And so he's trying to think, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, how do I figure this out? And then he's like, we'll just speed up.
Yeah. He's like, floor it.
Yeah. And so,
jump the bus.
so that's exactly what they do. They just speed up the bus, and they make a clear jump across this 50-foot gap, which according to Mythbusters is impossible.
Yeah, we did watch the Mythbusters episode yesterday. Did not look good for that jump. But hey.
Yeah.
It's awesome in the context of the movie. It's like,
it looks so ridiculous.
It is literally like there's no ramp. They don't have any like upward momentum.
Yeah.
They just come at this thing at
straight ahead.
At a 0 degree angle. 108. They're going horizontally. How's that? Yeah. They come out at a horizontal angle, like perfectly level.
Yeah.
To land 50 feet away, also perfectly level at the same height. Like, no way.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And it looks ridiculous, but but it's fun.
Awesome.
It's fun. And so everyone cheers, even though there's still a bomb. Everyone's excited because they survived that. And
you seem salty about it.
I don't know. I feel like I would be so grumpy. Like, I'd be the grumpiest passenger. I'd be like, why are we cheering? We're not alive yet.
Yeah.
So
they're bonding.
my gosh. So at this point, there's an airport exit, and Keanu's like, perfect, get off at the airport, because one, it's restricted airspace.
Yeah.
So
because the helicopters can't watch.
The news people have been like circling their helicopters to like watch this whole thing go down, which is not good because that's what Keanu thinks the bad guy is seeing. And so he's like, it's restricted airspace, helicopters can't see us, and also you could just like drive in circles over and over and over. Like no one will be in your way.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get off, and the bad guy calls again and is like, I want my money, blah, 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 blah. Same thing he's been saying. And then that's when we learn that the bad guy is a cop from Atlanta. Harry figures that out, and they send a group of people from the LAPD to find the house that they think he's at. Well, when they do that, when they go into this house, it's a trap. Like the bad guy set up a trap, and so they all explode, which kills Keanu's partner Harry.
R.I.P. Harry, played by Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. And so from here, they're like trying to figure out what to do next about this bomb. And so, oh wait, I accidentally jumped ahead. So before Harry died, Keanu had jumped off the bus onto the police department's like car, and he told the passengers, he's like, I will be right back. I'm just going to see if I can figure out how to dismantle this bomb. And
how did he get the bomber to agree to let him off the bus?
Oh, was that when they recorded the thing over?
Well, they do that. They do end up doing that, but he's in the airport and he's on the phone with the bomber and he's like, yeah. You gotta let me off this bus.
I don't know.
And I don't know. Yeah, he convinces him somehow. It's a movie.
Yeah. So anyway,
he gets off.
Yeah, he gets off, and they come up with this plan to put him on this like rolly like platform thing, and they like. The rolly thing's attached to a string that's attached to the police car, and they basically like wheel him underneath the bus, and like Sandra's freaking out because she's like, oh my gosh, if I like move just a little bit I could roll over him, like I could accidentally kill him. And so he's on the phone with Harry, and Harry's like trying to tell him like, oh, like look at these wires, do you see this, like cut this, do this, we can see if we can like figure it out this way, but they don't figure it out. And then that's when the LAPD team, including Harry, goes to the house, and then he dies.
Yeah.
So Harry's dead. They didn't, and Keanu wasn't able to figure out how to dismantle this bomb.
And he has to end up getting back onto the bus.
Yes. And so, I don't know what happens. I think like they went over a bump, or like the bus did something, but somehow Keanu, the wheelie thing comes out from underneath him.
Well, they come plowing into like the LAX airport, and it's got those like tire popper thingies. So that was why the tire popped. It popped as soon as they went into the airport.
Got you. So Keanu is like, he stabs the gas tank of the bus and is like holding on for dear life underneath the bus. The wheelie thing flies out behind. Sandra Bullock's like, oh my gosh, do you all see him? Because like the wheelie thing just flew behind, but I don't see him. Did I kill him?
She's like, I killed him.
Yeah. And so we learned earlier in the movie that there is like an opening on the floor of the bus, that if you open it, you could see the bottom of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And so the passengers open that up, and one of the guys sees Keanu and is like, here, give me your hand, I'll help you up. So everybody helps Keanu back onto the bus. But because he had stabbed the gas tank, they're running out of gas rapidly. And so he calls the police department. It's like, we need fuel because we're running out of gas, and if we run out of gas, we all die. So he's like, I'll get you fuel. So basically from there, he's talking to Sandra Bullock, and he sees she has this sweatshirt that has like Arizona Wildcats or something on the like logo.
Yeah.
And something clicks for him, because when he was on the phone with the bad guy was like, oh, that Wildcat that's driving something, something, something. So he realizes, oh my gosh, the bad guy put a camera in this bus.
Yeah.
So that's how he's able to see everything that we're doing.
He can see you.
Yeah. And so there was a camera that was right in front of at the front of the bus. And so the police department comes up with the idea to like film the passengers on the bus using this camera, and then loop it, and then somehow play it on what the bad guy's watching it on. Which is like, how did they even know? Like, how did they transfer that to what the bad guy was seeing?
They like hack the feed. They hack into the feed, record everybody sitting still, and then they loop it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then they send that to where the feed was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all very technical wizardry.
Yeah. Very convenient. So they do that. They film it. They film everybody just kind of sitting there looking sad. And they loop it, and they start playing it for the bad guy. So the bad guy is like, everything's going to plan. Woohoo.
Yep.
He doesn't notice that anything's wrong. He doesn't notice that the video's looping. And so because he's seeing that, he can no longer see if they try to get off the bus. So the police department pulls their big little platform back over, puts a little like plank in where the platform and the bus like door is, and they start helping people off. So everybody's able to get off successfully. Sandra Bullock's still driving, and Keanu's obviously still on the bus because he's, helping people off. And so I'm trying to figure out how Sandra Bullock and him got
so
off.
they give Keanu, like the police give Keanu a rope and a pole to basically tie up the steering wheel and to push the gas pedal down with the pole so that like they can get off, and that the bus will just like stay going in like one direction. So that's what they do. They put that on, but then
they like went off the bottom, like because something happened where they couldn't get off.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Something happens. There's I don't know, like the
I think it was the tires.
Yeah,
all the tires messed up, and it like moved the police people from the like bus itself, and the bus kind of just went off.
Yeah.
And so when they do that, when they like set up everything, he like pops off the little like part on the
panel.
Yeah, the access panel that was on the bottom of the bus, and they just like get on it and hold on to each other and like slide.
They slide from underneath the bus. Yeah.
Yeah, and hope that they don't get run over.
And they
by
like
the
land
bus.
in the dirt, which is nice.
Yeah. So everyone's successfully off the bus. It's a great day. They're alive.
What happens to the bus?
The bus explodes. It runs into a plane and explodes.
Yes.
Because some idiot was moving a plane.
Put a plane there. Yeah.
While all this was happening.
And it's a massive explosion.
Yeah. So
Notes on that later.
Yeah. So Keanu and Sandy, I'm assuming everyone else goes home, but Keanu and Sandy and the rest of the police officers go to the police station back in the city. And Sandy's like waiting outside, and it's not really clear why. I guess she just was like waiting for him. I don't know if he was going to take her on a date or something after. Who knows? She was just kind of outside. And they were trying to set up a trap to get the guy to like so they could arrest him.
Yeah, the guy demanded that they put the money in this specific garbage can on this specific street corner. So they like put snipers. They put the money in the garbage can, but then they like put snipers there to, wait for the guy to get the money.
Yeah. So while they set that up, the bad guy shows up, but knew that it was a setup. So he like kidnaps Sandra Bullock, and he goes like underground. And so then Keanu comes outside, realizes the money's gone, sees the hole in the ground, goes down there, sees what?
Like hole in the ground. What? No, yeah, the bad guy put a hole underneath the garbage can. So when they put the money in the garbage can, it shot, underground and underground in the subway. Yeah.
Which like I didn't even know LA had a subway system.
Yeah, I didn't look that up. I'm sure they've got trains.
Every major
metropolitan area has a train.
Yeah, I never heard anyone say they took the subway. I mean, I've heard people say they've taken the bus, like in LA, but not the subway.
There's trains in LA.
So Keanu goes underground and sees this shadowy figure, and like thinking it's the bad guy, and it's Sandra Bullock with a bunch of bombs strapped onto her. And the bad guy's like, I got your girl, and I want my money.
I want my money.
Well, the money, like, a purple thing exploded so that the money's not usable.
That doesn't happen until after.
Oh.
I mean,
I don't understand, like, why.
They're in a face-off, you know?
Yeah. So they go on the subway, and the bad guy ties Sandra with handcuffs, like, around a pole. And it's basically a big fight between him and Keanu. And they get to the top of Keanu's on the roof of the subway. The bad guy's shooting at the roof, but then eventually goes up to the roof as well. They fight, and during that fight, there's like a light that's coming up as the train's moving, and it like cuts off the bad guy's head.
Yep.
So he's dead.
Yep.
And Keanu won. So he jumps down back into the subway, and he's like, "Woo, he's gone. We're all safe." And they get the bombs off of Sandra Bullock. And then he's like, I don't have a key. I can't get your handcuffs off.
He's like, no method of getting the handcuffs off.
Yeah. And so she's trying to like rip her hands out of it, which seems so painful.
Yeah.
And she can't do it. They're trying to like wiggle the pole that she's like around to see if they can knock it off so that she can slide off. And there's just like no luck. And they're also coming up on like construction on the subway.
The subway's not finished.
Literally. I was like, why is nothing finished in this daggone city?
And they can't slow down the subway because the bad guy had like shot up the conductor area, so it's all malfunctioning.
Yes.
They can't slow it down.
And so what does Keanu do? As he does with every situation, we're gonna speed up.
Yeah. We can't slow down, but speed up, that's an option.
Like, what does that do?
Speed.
So basically, they just speed up, and
that's the name of the movie.
Yeah, they like Keanu wraps around Sandra Bullock to try and protect her. The subway bursts through the freaking like ground, basically.
Yeah.
They magically survive and are perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's like the subway bursts out of the ground and lands in the streets and like tumbles, and through the destruction of the tumbling, the pole, I guess, jostles off of whatever it was fastened to, and she's like, cool, I can get out now.
Mm-hmm. And
they survive.
Yeah, they have a little romantic moment, like, ooh, we survived.
Yeah.
We're gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend now.
Yep.
And that's the end of the movie.
That is the end of the movie. Yeah. Can I just say that was not brief.
I know.
that was a play-by-play.
I know, but it's like, if I simplified it, it's like they went fast on a bus, they got off the bus. They went fast on a train, they got off the train.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like I had to go through the play-by-play in order to give it some substance, you know?
Yeah. The guy holds up elevator. They think they get him. They don't. But so then he holds up a bus. Can't go under 50. It will explode. Keanu gets on the bus.
I mean, I still
Things happen.
explained it.
They jump the bus.
Yeah, I still explained it in like 20 minutes. 30 minutes.
I think we're at 40 right now.
Yeah, but we spent the first part talking.
For like
and also
5 minutes tops.
The first part we cut. Anyway, so my thoughts on this movie.
Yeah, go on.
I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed watching it. Would I watch it again? Probably, if I was really bored. It's a very simple movie, which I really enjoy. There's not too much to it, but it still kind of keeps you on your toes. And it's like, the dialogue is absolutely ridiculous. The like stunts are absolutely ridiculous, which makes it even more fun.
What was with the air quotes on the stunts?
Because that bus jump was not legit.
Oh, that stunt. Oh, yeah. Okay,
So, yeah, it was fun. And I liked it.
Nice. I love this movie. I knew I really liked this movie. Mm-hmm. But when we watched it this past week, I was like, this movie is awesome. This movie's great. Like, it's really simple. You don't need to be thinking about anything other than what you're seeing at this current moment. And it does all these things, and it's like, it's kind of corny, but at the same time, it's extremely corny. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, it's awesome. And it's all happening in LA, and we used to live in LA, so it's, like, we know the traffic's bad on the highway, and it's like, what are they gonna do? And there's just that added element of like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's just a good time. And Keanu,
He's Keanuing in this movie.
Keanu's really hard, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I got some facts. So that I was wondering if that plane explosion at the end where they get off the bus and the bus slams into this plane, I was wondering if that was a practical explosion. 1994, yes, of course it was. So it cost them $80,000 to blow that plane up. So what they said was like, oh, there was so much focus in the script on getting the people off of the bus, but they were like, well, the bus needs to have an end too. So they they created this whole sequence, and they spent the extra $80,000 to blow up a plane, which they could not do at LAX. LAX was like, yeah, that would terrify people if you blew up a plane. So they had to do it in the middle of the Mojave Desert. So
you say, like, obviously it's practical because it's 1994. Is that bus jump like a miniature?
So the bus jump, yeah, I got things on the bus jump. Not too many things, but so they did actually do the bus jump. They jumped to the bus twice. It landed too smoothly the first time, so they did it again.
What do you mean they actually jumped it?
They jumped a bus off of a ramp and then had it land on something else. But
the Mythbusters couldn't do it.
The Mythbusters had a janky bus. So
I need to know the
all
height of the incline.
Yeah, there was all these facts about that. It was like it hit 61 miles per hour. It went like 20 feet off of the ground. They had a ramp, and it flew off, and then it landed. Which after watching the Mythbusters episode is very like suspicious because there's like no way.
Yeah.
But apparently, if all the facts that I read said that it flew off so much higher than they expected that none of the cameras were in the right position, and so that's why it's like you can't quite see it correctly. I don't know. Like I
don't believe that.
I don't know. It's who's to say for sure?
50 feet. And they said the first time it landed too smoothly.
We don't know if it was actually jumped 50 feet. Maybe they jumped it like 20 feet or 10 feet or something. But the fact remains that the facts say that they jumped this bus, and they had to set up the bus with like a super special suspension system, and the guy that was driving the bus had to be sitting like farther back.
They had a driver in there?
They had a driver in there. They had to move the driver back, like where he could control the bus from, farther back, so that if things didn't go well, he wouldn't fly out through the front of the bus. Yeah.
There's no way you could legally do that in a film this time, like this. I mean, we have so much better technology now.
Yeah,
you wouldn't even have to do that, but
we still have stunts. So yeah, I mean that's what it says. They CGI'd the ramp out, which you can tell when you watch it because the bus like gets vertical air after it goes off of the highway.
If they could CGI the ramp out, why can't they just CGI the bus?
The whole bus. I mean, there's some element of CGI happening during that sequence. I don't know how much of it is real and how much of it is not.
I don't trust
But
that.
the fact still stands that they jumped this bus and they jumped it twice.
Facts.
That's what it said.
I don't trust it.
So this movie ran out of money before it was done.
I mean, $80,000 for a plane explosion and a whole bus jump.
So they did a test screening where the subway scenes hadn't been finished yet. So it was like the whole movie, but then the subway scenes were just storyboarded in it. And it tested so well that the studio came up with the extra money to add those parts in. They knew that they had a popular movie on their hands when the people who were watching the test screenings had to go to the bathroom, would walk out of the theater backwards so they could still see as much of the movie as possible. Mm-hmm. And the original script actually didn't have the subway sequence at the end. The studio said that the movie had too much bus, so they wrote in the subway part.
I mean, that's what I said. I was like, this whole movie is actually just one giant scene.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the posters of the movie, and it's like Keanu, Sandra Bullock, bus, and then like a fiery explosion.
I don't think I've ever seen the like cover of the movie, because this is not at all what I thought Speed was about.
Oh yeah.
I had no clue what it was about, but I didn't think it was this.
Yeah, I mean, when people think of Speed, they think of the bus sequence, because that's like
90%
three-quarters of the movie. Yeah. The elevator sequence is pretty cool too, and the subway sequence is also not bad. But the bus, that's the focal point of the whole movie. And you thought it was probably just going to be like some brief thing, but no, it was the whole movie.
I thought this was going to be like Die Hard, where we're going from place to place to place, because it kind of has like Die Hard
Die Hard
vibes.
all just takes place in a building, so...
Well, I'm thinking of the one with Sam Jackson that you had me watch.
But that movie came out after this one.
Yeah, but I was anticipating something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we started the movie, and I was like, oh, okay, there's a bad guy. He's like telling Keanu these kind of like clues, essentially. I was like, we're going to be hopping from place to place to place. They're trying to figure out stuff.
Well, fun fact, the director, see if I can get this name pronounced correctly, Jan de Bont, he was actually the cinematographer for Die Hard.
Makes sense.
And this is his first time directing a feature. Mm. So other facts that I have are that the director came up with the bus jump scene while he was driving in LA, and he saw that part of the 105 freeway, which was a real freeway that was being built and hadn't been completed yet, all the way up until like, filming this movie, it still wasn't completed yet. So they actually got to film on that freeway. But while he was driving in LA, he saw that part of the 105 freeway wasn't completed and had this gap. And he was like, ooh, what if we jumped the bus? And that was the birth of that whole idea.
Can you imagine? You're just a little passenger on this bus, and your bus driver's thinking, what if I jump this?
It's not like he was the bus. He wasn't driving a bus. He was just driving around.
I thought you said he was driving the bus.
The director was driving a bus? No. He was just driving through LA. He
could have been a bus driver before he became a director.
Oh my gosh. No, he was the cinematographer for Die Hard before he became a director.
I mean, before that. Ideas can start way back when.
All right, true. No. But it was originally not in the script to jump the bus. And while he was driving through LA on his own, he was like, there's a gap there. Oh my gosh, we should jump the bus.
Okay, I misheard you.
Yeah. Sandra Bullock learned how to drive a bus for this movie.
Yeah, you would have to.
And let's see. They used 10 buses, and each one had 2 steering wheels, one for Sandra Bullock in the actual like driver's part of the bus, and then one for the stunt driver who was actually driving the bus, which was either located, like in the second row, like I mentioned, when they actually jumped the bus, or he was situated on the roof. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is pretty wild. The stunt coordinator said this was one of the most challenging movies of her career, and that the stroller of cans scene was especially difficult. I had no context for what was meant there. That's just what it said.
I feel like it's like definitely a big timing thing, and also making sure it's in the right place at the right time. Yeah. For like visually,
make sure
and also
gets
to make
hurt.
sure, make sure the woman doesn't get hurt and things like that. So I could imagine it being really hard.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. So the director casted Keanu because he thought that he was a vulnerable guy that's not too threatening to men because he's not too bulky, but he looks great to women. Like that kind of describes Keanu
I would
kind
say
of well.
a vulnerable guy, like in the way he portrays characters, like
Yeah,
or like in real life, just like
like if Keanu looked me in the eyes, I'd be like, it's gonna be okay. That's the vibe that I get from Keanu.
Okay. I sound like a Keanu hater. I love Keanu.
Yeah, you're having some Keanu doubts, and I'm not here for it. I'm not here for the Keanu slander.
I love Keanu so much. but I haven't seen his like action. Aside from John Wick, I had never seen his like action movies. And so as you show me more of his action movies, I'm like, it's kind of dismantling my Keanu love.
Yeah.
I'm like,
wait, what? Dismantling?
Yes.
No.
Because
this
I feel
part
like
of the reason why people
like
love
this,
him so much.
And I am an FBI agent. What's that one?
Point Break.
Point Break. The way he plays those characters is just so ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what is he doing?
It's
Like, why does
fantastic.
it sound like that? I hate it.
No, it's great. So, well, yeah, I mean, Keanu's career is interesting because he did Bill and Ted, and like, you know, nobody took him seriously. Then he did Point Break, and people were like, are we going to be able to take this guy seriously? And then, you know, it was great, and they did. And then he did Speed, and that's like, you know, I mean, it's a cheesy movie, so it's kind of perfect that he's acting the way that he is.
Yeah. I mean, it's great for the movie. I'm not saying his performance is bad. It's like, it's exactly what the movie would have.
Then he does like other movies, and then there's The Matrix in 1999.
I think it's because the first thing I ever saw Keanu in was Hardball, which is just such like a great movie of like him working with these like black kids in like a low income neighborhood, and it's just like such a powerful performance and such a good performance. And then like to see this like
I'm an FBI agent.
This, like,
there's a bomb on the bus.
Yeah, this dumb like very masculine like. It's just like, what? Like,
I love it. I love everything about the fact that this movie exists and that Keanu's in it. Personally.
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said.
Keanu did 90% of his own stunts, and he actually was tethered to the bottom of the bus at one point for those sequences that you were discussing about him being underneath the bus. Mm-hmm. So an interesting kind of like fact about when this movie came out. This movie was released a week before O.J. Simpson was accused of murder, and he led the police on a police chase in his white Bronco. And in the movie, Keanu drives a Bronco, so a lot of people were like, hey, this is kind of like Speed.
Oh, no! Oh, my gosh.
Like, have you seen the footage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who hasn't?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's wild. And it's kind of like this.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, the city of LA also did let them film on the then unopened 105 freeway.
How long was this freeway unopened?
Well, they had got to build a whole freeway. It was this big freeway that was being built, and they let the movie crew film in it during like the last month of construction, which was a huge pain in the butt because construction was causing like the set to change constantly.
Yeah.
So there's that element of it. Apparently the whole like that part where they're getting off the original freeway and there's all those cars was a logistical nightmare, quote unquote, because like every time they filmed it, they had to like reset all the cars back, which just sounds awful. I would not want to have to deal with that.
But like, they can't reuse those cars because they're damaged.
Well, I'm not talking about that part, but good point. I'm talking about the part where it's just like there's just a bunch of cars and like we gotta get off. So Keanu and Sandra apparently, this is what the note said. Who knows? But the note phrased it as Keanu and Sandra fell in love while filming this movie, but they never admitted it until years later when they both confessed that they had like a huge crush on each other, on Ellen DeGeneres, I guess. Mm-hmm. So
I remember that. So I was like, I remember seeing that when it very first came, like their interviews came out, and I was like, oh, they would have been really cute together.
Yeah. All right, and then the part where they blow up the house. Apparently they paid the owners of that house $5,000 to blow it up, and then they rebuilt it after filming.
Okay. I was gonna say if they just paid $5,000 and was like bye.
Yeah, right.
But like they rebuilt it. I'm like, that's fine. That's fair.
You gotta pay me a whole lot more than $5,000 to blow up my house.
Literally, my face was like, what? And then you're like, they rebuilt it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's
that still feels like a lowball offer, honestly.
No, because I mean, it depends.
I gotta go live somewhere else where they're blowing up my house. You know.
I mean,
and blowing it up and then building it back
they're
up.
probably
again.
going to rebuild it way nicer than it was. And
True,
so
true.
I'd be willing to, and your house is on a movie.
That's true.
I'd be willing to make that.
My house got blown up in a movie,
Yeah,
and
like, I'll go
I
stay
got
with a friend.
$5,000 for it.
I'll go stay with a friend.
All right.
I'm sure they would pay for the hotel.
Okay. All right. Other facts. This movie, as we saw and found out, I didn't want you to see this, but this movie did win 2 Oscars.
Yeah, I was
Can you believe
shook.
that? Can you believe that?
I was literally staring at the Amazon thing, and I was like, it won 2 Oscars?
Yeah.
What?
So what do you think it won for?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. Maybe like, there's no award for like stunts, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe
You think it was Best Actor and Actress?
I was going to, well,
It was not. I'll just
would
clarify
she be
that.
Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress?
Regardless, best. It
I
was
don't
not
know.
for acting.
Don't tell me it was Best Picture.
No.
Okay.
Gosh, no.
Okay.
That'd have been cool.
Maybe cinematography, I don't know.
No.
Screenplay?
Not even. No, it's a lot more logical than that. It won for Best Sound and Best Sound Editing.
That's fine.
Yeah. Like, it was also nominated for Best Editing. So I think all of those things do make sense.
Yeah.
For like what this movie was. It is actually very well shot, very well edited, and
Yeah.
the sound is on point.
It's like this would never be considered for an Oscar today.
No, probably not.
Not at all. Not even in the
Like
slightest
action
chance.
movies just don't. They look at like the more like deep action movies, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
It's like war movies.
War movies, yeah.
That's
And
about
they go
it.
like, oh, that was good sound mixing, but they're not going to
Yeah.
look at, I don't know,
Yeah.
Mission Impossible and say the sound mixing was on point.
I mean, but
Which is
Mission
basically what this
Top Gun
is.
was nominated for an Oscar.
Well, that's different. That's Top Gun. That's America.
Oh my freaking gosh. Throw that away right now.
Anyway, okay. And then the last thing that I have to say is, well, I have a fact and then I have a question following said fact. So the fact is that it was originally going to release this is 1994. You know what other movie also came out in 1994 that we talked about recently?
True Lies. 'Cause
True
I looked at your
Lies.
notes.
Why did you do that?
Because I was seeing how many you had left, and then
Okay.
I saw it.
All right. So they were worried that the movie was not going to perform well because it was going to come out a month after True Lies during the summer. True Lies was coming out in July. This was going to come out in August. But they knew that they had a good movie that people liked on their hands because of all the test screenings that they did. So they decided to move its release date up, and they released it in June. And it ended up doing really well, and people saw it, and people saw True Lies as well. So my question for you is, did you like this better or did you like True Lies better?
I feel like it's hard to compare because True Lies is definitely more like comedy.
True.
Yeah.
True Lies.
I don't know. I feel like they're kind of equal, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of agree. I think they're kind of incomparable, despite both being like action movies released in 1994 with highway sequences. I think True Lies is like it's better filmed, better like coordinated. But this movie is also very impressive. It's maybe I'm just biased because it's James Cameron. But like you look at James Cameron, like that's the moviest a movie could movie at that time.
Yeah.
But this movie's also movieing pretty hard.
But I feel like True Lies like does a little too much, where it's like you're just throwing a bunch of stuff in here and it's not necessarily necessary. I like the simplicity of this movie
That's
a lot
fair.
more.
That's fair. I agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know. It just feels more grounded.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Even though you have that ridiculous bus jump.
Yeah, it's not that grounded.
But yeah, I don't know. I like this. It doesn't feel like it's trying too hard. It's just like, oh, this is just like a...
Like it knows what it is.
yeah.
It's like, bus.
Yeah.
One other thing I realized, this movie does have a sequel, Speed. It's called like Speed 2 Cruise Control
Speed
or
Racer.
something like that. No, nothing that cool. But yeah, there is a Speed sequel.
speed, don't put it in neutral.
It takes place on a boat.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm not watching that.
So apparently, yeah, Speed 2 Cruise Control. It takes place, I think it's called Speed 2 Cruise Control. It takes place on a boat, and Sandra Bullock is in it, but Keanu's not. And
Sandy girl, what?
Yeah, and so they got this other guy. I don't really know what his name was, but like I recognize him, and he's like a B movie actor. So it's like this B movie actor and Sandra Bullock for Speed 2. It's like, when you think about it, it's like, oh, she just keeps getting herself in these situations of high speed explosion threats.
Yeah.
Like, what, so that's, it's obviously just going to be dumb.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not very well rated. So
why don't we just like leave things as they are?
I don't know.
Why do we always have to try and do a sequel?
Like True Lies 2.
Yeah, it's like, no,
The
no one
truth.
wanted that. We got what we got the first time, and that's all we needed.
I agree. But anyway, yeah, that's everything I had. Overall, you enjoyed it?
Yep.
Nice. Good pick.
Good pick.
Yeah. Makes me really want to go watch John Wick.
You've been
Part
saying
4.
that literally all day.
Yeah, the reviews are so good.
I am sure. I love the John Wick movies.
Anyway. But like better than past John Wicks. They're saying this is even like the most John Wick of all the John Wicks.
The John Wickiest of the
Yes.
Wicks.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but it's like 2 hours and 49 minutes long.
Gosh.
So I can't wait. I want to see it.
All right. Let's move on. We only got about 50 minutes.
All right, let's do this. Speed round. All right. So this week, I was assigned Uncle Drew. If you're not familiar with what Uncle Drew is, it's this movie that came out in 2018. It's a basketball movie. There's a ton of NBA-related people in this movie. So I don't know if that's just like every time a basketball movie comes out, everybody's like, let's get everybody in this thing.
This is the only time I think there's been a movie with a bunch of NBA players.
Space Jam.
I mean, that's one, like, that's like Michael Jordan. I'm talking about like a culmination of a bunch of NBA players.
Yeah. Well, they had a whole bunch of NBA players in Space Jam.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, that's how they
like
got
Charles Barkley and everyone.
Yeah, exactly. That's how the aliens got
forgot
good at
about that.
basketball. Is they stole their talent.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
My bad. Well, aside from Space Jam,
All right, fair enough.
this is the only contemporary movie.
Other than Space Jam 2, which has LeBron in it. But anyway,
I hate that movie. I don't like LeBron.
We watched it together.
I know, and I did not like it.
No, it was all right. I mean, it's not, I'm not gonna watch it again. It was Ready Player One, but Space Jam.
Whack.
All right, so the movie focuses on this street ball competition that happens once a year called Rucker, and it takes place at Rucker Park, and that's where basketball legends are born, according to the movie. And it's got all these NBA people are basically being like interviewed, and they're like, oh yeah, like this guy Uncle Drew, he used to play really well back in the day, and he was the best, but then like before the finals something happened, and there's rumors about what happened, and he just suddenly disappeared, and now Uncle Drew is like this tall tale legend that people just hear about. They don't know if he actually exists or not. Okay, the Rucker Classic. I have it right here. That's where street ball legends play. So the movie stars Lil Rel Howery. He plays this guy Dax. And I just want to quickly point out, while we were on the thread of Space Jam 2, in Space Jam 2, it's like people all are getting like, summoned into like VR or something. And at one point they like need some announcers, and it's like an actual NBA announcer, and then Lil Rel, and like the announcer's like, oh, Lil Rel, hey. And it's I feel like that was because of like he was in Uncle Drew. Yeah,
I don't know.
So
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I just imagine Lil Rel now has this like relationship with the
Connection with-
NBA.
yeah.
So Lil Rel plays character
What a
named
flex.
Right? That's cool. Lil Rel plays this character named Dax, and there's this other guy played by Nick Kroll whose name is Mookie Bass, which is a weird name. So Dax is training a team of players for the Rucker Classic. He wants to win because he's going to win $100,000 if the team wins, and he needs the money because all he does is work at Foot Locker and coach this team, and he's not doing very well financially. But Mookie Bass, who is like his rival since childhood, played by Nick Kroll, as I mentioned, has won 7 of 9 Rucker championships and is all in his face about it. And he's like, I'm going to steal your players. Haha. And he's like, oh gosh, I hope he doesn't steal my players. So Dax has this star player, Casper Jones, and he goes up to Casper and he's like, are we cool? We're good? And he's like, yeah, no, I love you, man. And he's also like, ooh, it would be great if I could get those new
Air Jordans?
Yeah, I guess they're
Something like
Air
that?
Jordans. Yeah, he's like, it would be great if I could get those new Air Jordans.
Oh, it's the Space Jam like shoe.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Dax is like, ooh, yeah, like maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's like, I'm getting some that are coming in, so I'll get you some. And like we kind of find out that Dax, he was an orphan and nobody wanted him, and
nobody wanted him.
Nobody wanted. There's this whole sequence where we're seeing his backstory. It's like other kids were getting adopted, but he wasn't getting adopted. But he watched Michael Jordan on the TV and he thought that was great. But then he wanted to play basketball. But then he got blocked by Mookie during like his like 8th grade basketball game or something. And ever since then, he's like, basketball let me down. I don't play basketball anymore, but I love basketball, so I coach people. But I don't play anymore because like everybody got upset with me because I got that shot blocked by Mookie. And like Mookie is still in his life, and like I don't know why. Anyway, Tiffany Haddish is also his girlfriend, and he's working one day at the Foot Locker, and Casper shows up and he's like, yo, can I get those shoes? And he's like, yeah, I'll get you some. And he's like, cool, but I need you to hook up like all my homies. And he's got like a crew of 5 guys. And he's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay for these shoes? And so he's like trying to save face. So he pays for them. He like gives them the shoes, but he can't pay for it. His credit card is getting denied. So then he asks Tiffany Haddish, his girlfriend, she's there because she's shopping for herself. They go splitsies on the money, and but then Mookie ends up stealing Casper anyway. And Mookie now Casper's now on Mookie's team, and Casper's like, sorry about it, deal with it, whatever. And so now Dax has no money because of that. I don't know. But Tiffany Haddish basically tells him to get out of her house because it's her apartment.
I think you're missing a part. So
did he lose his job or something?
No. So the big thing is if you win this tournament,
yeah,
then you get $100,000.
Yeah.
And because Casper has left the team, he's like, I'm not going to be able to win this. I'm not going to be able to do the tournament, which means I'm not going to have this money. And he's just broke anyway. Like
he spent $5,000 to be able to enter into the tournament in the first place,
which was his savings.
Yeah. So now he's got no money, no team, no luck, nothing, no girlfriend, no house. He's on the streets. He doesn't even have a bag. He's got like a garbage bag full of his stuff. And so he's going around and he's asking different like street ball players if they want to like play on his team, and they're like, nah, we're not about that. And one day, I guess
also
it's the
there was a
same
viral
day.
video that came out showing him trying to like take the shoes off of Casper, and
he's like,
teammates.
those are my shoes.
Yeah.
And he's like he's trying to take the shoes. Somebody recorded it. It went viral. The NBA like clowns on him for it.
Yeah, ESPN like broadcast it as like they're on the top 10 list of like bad things.
Yeah, like top 10 worst things of the week.
So I think that played a role in why everyone who he keeps going to is like, no, like you're such a joke.
That's that guy. Yeah. So one day, I think it's the same day, honestly, because he never, it's not like he had a night of sleeping on the streets. So I guess that day he's going around to different courts and he's just chilling at one, and there's this old guy who's like talking a lot of game at these young basketball players who are like, I guess in his eyes, they're not like playing very well. And so he's talking a lot of trash, and they're like, all right, let's go one-on-one, old man. And so that old man ends up being Uncle Drew, and Uncle Drew just totally like annihilates this guy. Yeah,
Yep.
he whoops him. In your words. No, my note does say whoop, so. So Dax is like, oh my gosh, like I need this guy to participate in the Rucker, even though he's like super old. So he asks him, and he's like, oh my gosh, you're Uncle Drew. And Uncle Drew's like, I gotta set all these young bloods straight, so yeah, I'll do it. And then he's like, but it's gotta be my team. And he's like, what do you mean your team? He's like, come along. So Uncle Drew has this van. He's got special rules about the van because it's where he lives basically. And he's like, we're gonna go get my old teammates. And so Dax just goes with him. And the first teammate they got to go pick up is in DC. This all takes place in New York, so they got to go to DC to get his preacher friend, who is the best power forward he's ever seen.
His name, they call him Preacher too.
They call him Preacher. They go, and the preacher is in the middle of a baptism when they find him, and he's like turning the baby around his hips, like, you know, like he's a basketball basically. He's about to like dunk the baby.
It's my
into the
favorite part.
pool.
It's so funny. He's like, you can't dunk that baby.
Lil Rel's like, what are you doing? Yeah. And so they asked the preacher, and the preacher's wife is Betty Lou. That's her name. She's played by Lisa Leslie, I believe. And I don't know the name of the guy who plays the preacher.
It's Chris Webber.
Chris Webber. Oh wow, yeah, like famous player. So the preacher's like, I can't come. Betty Lou won't let me. And then Dax is like, what are we gonna do? And Uncle Drew's like, he's coming. And I don't know if I said Kyrie Irving plays Uncle Drew or not, but
you said it.
Yeah, my bad. Uncle Drew is played by Kyrie Irving, famous NBA player currently. He's the preacher ends up in the van, and he's like, we gotta go though, because Betty Lou's like, she's mad. And they have this like whole chase sequence where they're getting away from Betty Lou, and she's gonna do that a few times. But then they're like, all right, next guy we gotta go get is Lights. And Lights is like at a nursing home, and he's blind, and he's like at the Dave and Buster's, like shooting. He's like, this guy's the best shooter I've ever seen in my life. And then they find him at Dave and Buster's playing the basketball game, and he's blind, and he's missing all over the place, just doing a terrible job. And they're like, that man is blind. Like, no way. But they
My favorite,
bring him on.
He's like, are you blind? He's like, legally or actually?
I mean, that's a valid question. And then they also need to get Boots, who is at the same nursing home. And Boots, like, he doesn't talk, he doesn't walk, he's just like in a wheelchair, and that's it. Real quick, Lights is played by
Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller, famous basketball player. And Boots is played by
Nate Robinson.
Nate Robinson, famous basketball player. Wow. And Boots' granddaughter is also like taking care of him at the nursing home. And she's like young and like attractive, and so as soon as
Why'd you say it like that? Attractive.
Okay, my bad. My point is that like as soon
It's
as
a
she
love
enters,
interest.
yeah, as soon as she
Yeah.
enters the picture, it's like, oh, new love interest for Dax.
Yeah.
Because that's how movies work. So they pick up Boots, even though he's in a wheelchair. They pick up Lights, even though he's blind. And then they're like, all right, next we got to go get Big Fella, who's played by Shaq. And he is like a martial arts instructor. And so they go and find him, and he's got beef with Uncle Drew. And like nobody's talking about what the beef is, and they need to talk about their emotions. And Uncle Drew needs to tell him that he's sorry, but they don't do that. So Shaq, aka Big Fella, decides to come with them anyway. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. And so they're on their way to go play at the Rucker, and on the way they have to stop and get gas. And Dax can't afford gas because he's got no money. And he sees these girls, this girls basketball team, like a teenage high school basketball team who are like state champions. he sees them at the gas station, and he asks the coach, like, oh, I bet my guys will beat your girls in a match. How about $100 for it? And the guy's like, okay, yeah, but like, you're going to lose. And so they play, and they lose big time. These girls just like sweep the floor with these guys because they're all old and they don't know how to play, and Lights is literally blind. And, so it does not go well. But then, Uncle Drew and the gang realize like the whole reason that they were doing this was because Dax didn't have any money and he couldn't pay for the gas. And they were like, why don't you just tell us? Like, we'll take care of the gas. We'll take care of like, paying this guy that you just made a bet with $100. It's like, they're bonding. Then they get to the Rucker, and Uncle Drew, they get to the court before all the competition starts, and they're taking it all in. And Uncle Drew's like, I got something for each of you. And he basically gives all of them like the one magic item they all needed to fix their poor basketball playing and all of a sudden get good. So like Lights gets these special athletic glasses, and he's like
it's not just like this thing to help them. It's like a memento from their past, and like because of just the sentimental aspect of it, they feel empowered to like we can get back to how we were.
It's very like
cute.
It is cute. I have no problem with it. It's just very movie.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like, here's the sentimental magic item you need to suddenly get good. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can see. It's like the basketball players at the end of Space Jam getting their talent back at the end.
But I feel like too, in like real sports, like especially things like basketball, like people have their like rituals of like, I have to wear these specific shoes. Like that's my good luck charm. That's the thing that like empowers me, you know?
I understand all of that, but Boots, who has been in a wheelchair the whole time,
this was a bit
starts
ridiculous.
walking because he got his boots. They call him Boots because he wore the same shoes all the time, and he said he used to call his Converse his work boots. And so Uncle Drew ends up having those shoes, and he gives them to him, and now he can walk again.
Maybe he could walk the entire time. He just needed incentive to do so.
Okay. I just... You get what I get what you're saying, but you get what I'm saying?
It's very silly.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So anyway, Dax goes to... He stops by Tiffany Haddish's place, and turns out Mookie took his girl because Mookie is just, hell-bent on ruining his life. So he's like, oh man, now we really got to win. He's like, he's taking my girl, he took my team, he took everything away from me. And so they start playing games, and Shaq, big fella, refuses to play because he's like, we still got beef, we got to sort out. And, they're like, all right, put it on hold, play the game. They play well, they win, they move on to the next round. And eventually Uncle Drew and big fella, like, they have a heart-to-heart where what happened was Uncle Drew slept with big fella's, I guess, girlfriend back before the finals match, like 50 years ago. And he's like, why'd you do it? I loved her. And he's like, well, I loved her too. And big fella ended up marrying her, and she passed away like 2 years prior. So he misses her, and he's like all mad at Uncle Drew and stuff. But they talk it out. They say their sorries, and they're good now. So they talk it out. They start winning games. Basketball game winning montage happens. It's all going great. They make it to the Final Four. And then that night, they go to the club, and they have a dance battle against a step-up crew. And they totally don't win by, like, dancing standards, but they win by, like, the vibes standards.
Yeah.
So
it's just really cute.
Yeah.
It's like, they're not actually old people.
Right,
but
right,
because
right.
they look like old people, you're like, oh, look at the old men.
Yeah.
Doing their little break dancing.
Yeah. Then, like, while they're at the club, Dax has a chance to kiss Maya, the Boots' granddaughter, who's been with them the whole time. He has a chance to kiss her, but he chickens out because he misses 100% of the shots he doesn't take. And then the next day they play ball, and big fella passes out. I guess he has like a heart attack or something. So then big fella goes to the hospital, and then he's like in the hospital, and there's like a whole sequence where he's like, I got to see my team play, and I'm in the hospital, and nobody wants to help him. And then he like finds a TV in the waiting room, and he's like, that's my team. And everybody around him's like, okay. So then they need a fifth player, and who joins? Betty Lou. She ends up like being there, and she like finds the preacher, and he's like, oh, I missed you so much, but like, it's okay, I don't have to play. And she's like, no, you gotta play, and also I'm playing, because she's Lisa Leslie, who's like she's a famous WNBA player. So now she's in, and they're playing, and then Lights and Casper. It's the final match at this point. Like it's Mookie's team against Dax's team, and Casper is on Mookie's team, and they're playing, and like Lights gets injured and Casper gets injured at the same time. So now both teams are down a player, and so Mookie has to get in for his team, and then Dax is like, I don't play basketball. They're like, no, you have to. And so Dax ends up getting in for his team. So now it's like Mookie versus Dax. Not 1v1, but like, yeah, it's that. Coaches versus coach. Mm-hmm. And so it's coming down to it. They're down by like 2 points, and there's 8 seconds left, and Dax needs to make this shot, this 3-point shot. But he gets nervous because it's reminding him of his traumatic past of like the 8th grade game where Mookie blocked him. So he does a timeout, and he's like, we got to give the ball to Uncle Drew. And Uncle Drew's like he's trying to come up with a whole play of like what they're going to do. And they're just like, Dax, man, you got this. You're going to make it. It's going to be fine. And he's like, what if I don't? And they're like, but what if you do? Yeah. He's like, okay. So they start the game back up again. Mookie tries to block the shot. It is unsuccessful. He takes the shot. It goes in. Boom. Woo! Buckets. And then, they're all like, woo, we won. And then he kisses the girl. And after he like took a step on a step because he's like short. And he kisses the girl, and they're all like, we're family now. And then the movie ends.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cute.
Very cute.
What'd you think?
Well, I didn't see this movie when it came out because I thought it looked dumb.
Oh my gosh.
So like, yeah, I didn't think it was worth like going to a theater to see. Mm-hmm. I thought it was very fun, very entertaining. It's very silly. It's like, it's very turn your brain off, but if you love basketball and the NBA, you're going to have a great time. And even if you just know things about the NBA, and again, turn your brain off, like, you're going to have a good time. And I had a very pleasant time watching this. It's very simple, lighthearted. There's not a lot to it. You kind of get a sense that everybody involved was just having a good time. Mm-hmm. And that like, and the NBA was just kind of like, yeah, patting themselves on the back, though, just like, this is great. This is one of our movies. Great. We got a movie. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I mean, I would watch it again at some point. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad that you picked it because I'm not sure. It would have been a while in my life before I probably came across a situation where I was watching this movie. So
I love this movie so much. It's just so heartwarming to me. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. It's just a good movie for the culture, I don't know. I love it. Any other thoughts before I get into facts?
No, I got nothing.
Okay. So the facts, it was a lot of just like facts on the basketball players' careers. So I'm going to spare you all that. But I do just want to like really quickly go through their careers, I guess.
Oh, sure.
Very like just like little pinpoints. So Kyrie Irving, as we talked about, is currently still an NBA player. He's currently on the Dallas Mavericks. But I think at the time that this movie came out, he was on the Boston Celtics.
Okay. And he played Uncle Drew.
Yes. I didn't write any notes about Shaq because I was like, we all know who Shaq is.
Shaq was. He was on the Lakers, and then he was on the Heat.
Yeah.
Now he commentates.
Yeah.
And he's like 7'1"?
Yeesh.
7'5"? 7'1"? 2? 7'2"?
I don't know. Tall.
Yeah, he's very tall. Big man.
So Chris Webber is a retired NBA player. He spent most of his career playing for the Sacramento Kings, but when he retired in 2008, he was playing for Golden State Warriors. Reggie Miller was a former player from Indiana Pacers, and he was with Indiana Pacers for his entire career.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
Yeah. Nate Robinson played on so many teams, so I didn't pick one. He even played like overseas for a little bit. So that's what I got on him. And then
Is he still playing?
no, he's retired.
Okay.
And Lisa Leslie, so I found her career to be the most interesting.
Okay.
Homegirl is amazing. Oh my gosh. So she played for the Los Angeles Sparks, and fun fact, she was the first WNBA player to dunk in a game.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that dope?
That would be cool.
Oh my gosh.
Good for her.
Yes, she also has 4 Olympic medals.
Wow.
Little flex on my girl. Oh, love it.
Okay.
So that was just like a quick rundown of like who these people are.
Okay.
And so I looked up, like, I was like, what was the budget for this? Because you have some like high profile people.
I mean, I
in this
imagine they were just like, hey, that would be fun to be involved in.
Yeah. So the budget was pretty small. I mean, it's still big, but small.
Yeah.
So it was 19 million. But they made a gross.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Gross worldwide, they made 47 million.
Only?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, that's pretty good. I feel like for a movie like this, where it's just like a very simple comedy, and it's very niche with like basketball centered.
Yeah. The thing is, I saw a lot of marketing for this movie. Like when you assigned it, I knew exactly what this movie was because I'd seen tons of ads for it. I've seen tons of trailers for it, which means they spent a lot on marketing. Because whenever you get a film budget and you tell me it's like 17 million, that's just what it costs to make the movie. A lot of the times these film budgets are not factoring in how much it costs to market the movie. So for it to only make 47 million, I'm like, they probably just barely broke even. I don't know.
I think they did fantastic.
I'm just surprised. I thought it would have made a little bit more.
Movie like
I'm
that.
sorry. I just thought it would have made a little bit more than 47 million.
It did great. Good job, you all.
Okay.
Listen to him.
All right. My bad.
Anyway, so the character of Uncle Drew actually started for a Pepsi commercial.
Oh.
So Kyrie Irving, Pepsi, I guess, reached out to him or something. They did like a collab. So he played Uncle Drew. But then I guess people really liked the character of Uncle Drew so much that they had these like little short films that I guess were still like in collaboration with Pepsi.
Oh.
And so if you go on IMDb, you'll see like Uncle Drew episode 1, Uncle Drew episode 2, Uncle Drew episode 3.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This movie's got very like Pepsi involved vibes.
You know what my favorite line is when Mookie is like Advil, the number one painkiller.
It was a leave. Yeah. He's being interviewed on TV and he's like plugging a few things that he's being sponsored by. And he's like, shout out to Pepsi, shout out to Aleve, number 1 game.
Number 1 leading painkiller in the game.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, that was by far one of the funniest parts of the movie.
Yeah. So Kyrie Irving, when he was doing this thing for Pepsi, he came up with the character of Uncle Drew, and he got the idea from watching a YouTube video where this old man just like crushes everybody at a skate park, and was like, "That's funny." So that's how Uncle Drew kind of came to be. Reggie Miller said that the makeup artists were like so fantastic for Uncle Drew. Each actor was like getting their makeup done for like 3 hours to get like all the prosthetics and stuff on to look old.
They get like molds of their heads.
Yeah. And the fact, which is like, it's so silly. It was like Kyrie Irving fell asleep as himself and woke up Uncle Drew.
Wow. Okay.
In the chair.
All right.
That's so funny. Apparently, Nick Kroll played basketball at his Jewish day school. And so all the players who are a part of this movie took a poll and voted Nick Kroll to be better than Lil Rel at basketball.
Oh, wow.
But I guess Lil Rel says that he thinks it should be settled in a one-on-one.
Oh, okay.
And then this is just like a really funny random fact. But in 1994, Shaq had his own video game called Shaq Fu.
Yeah, I know about Shaq Fu.
Oh my gosh. So this was available on Sega, the NES, Game Gear, Game Boy, and Amiga systems. I don't know what that is, but
I know what all of those things are.
that doesn't surprise me.
I met the people who made the Amiga computer. Anyway, go on.
And so to promote the game, Shaq released a second rap album called Shaq Fu The Return.
Wait, for this movie?
No, for the game. The video game.
For Shaq Fu. Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a first rap album.
Exactly.
Let alone a second one.
Exactly. And I looked it up on iTunes and it is there. And it's a whole album. And you literally need to see the album cover art.
That sounds fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I need to listen to this album. But yeah, he created that to promote the video game.
Shaq was like such a merchandising opportunity in the 90s. Like he did that Steel movie where he played a superhero that was like this, just like had steel armor and like a big hammer or something.
Yeah.
He did Kazam where he was a genie. And he talks about that in like the bloopers of this movie. He's like, oh, I've come a long way since Kazam.
Yeah. I mean, he still is. Like,
Yeah.
Shaq is doing some of my favorite. Shaq had a TV show where he would try other sports to see if he was any good at them. And there's an episode where he literally joined Serena Williams to play tennis to see if he can. And it was like the challenge was he was like trying to beat that athlete, like the biggest athlete of that sport. And so he's like trying to like beat them at their sport. And I loved that show.
Yeah.
It might be something I assign you in the future.
Remember when Aaron Carter had that song about him? He's like, the time I beat Shaq.
No.
And the whole music video is that's what the song is called. It's like the time I beat Shaq or something like that.
Gosh.
And the whole music video is like him and Shaq having a one-on-one. And it's like, 14-year-old Aaron Carter or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shaq is it. He's the best. He's so fun. So fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really all the facts that I have.
Nice.
Okay. This movie holds a special place in my heart.
No, I mean I understand. It's fun. It's got
It is.
Yeah.
And it's like, so like Little Rel was like, to be there and see these NBA players playing basketball. He's like, in the movie you see me cheering. He was like, I was legit going crazy because it's just magical to see them on the court and like see their abilities and things like that. Even though they're like, so most of them are retired. One thing I want to say
like
too.
Dunking and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Nate Robinson dunks at one point.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to say, this is just something I was thinking about the whole time we were watching this movie. I was like, my dream in life is to literally like go to an NBA game and like hang out in the locker room or whatever you call it. Not because like I'm trying to like see them like that, like in a like, oh, they're so attractive kind of way.
Yeah.
But just because I want to be around the pure size of them. I'm a pretty tall person. I'm not the tallest, but I'm 5'9".
Yeah.
And so like it's not often that someone's like towering over me unless they're pretty tall.
Okay, I don't think you want to be in the locker room
I mean,
necessarily.
maybe not, I didn't know what to like. I mean, just like
you
a
just
room
want to be
full
in a room full of NBA players.
I was like, I didn't know.
Talking about size and things. I'm like, wait a minute.
Their height.
I got you.
Their height.
I got you.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
My bad.
Not like
Family
that. But yeah, I just like want to know what it's like to be around these giants and like looking up and there's so many people. Like, I don't know. That's not an experience that I have. Like, I imagine that's the experience that like people who are like 5 feet like have in their day-to-day life.
Yeah, I think I went to like a museum or something one time, and there was like a cutout of Yao, like life size, like on the wall.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a tower of a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, so when I was in undergrad, we had this basketball player. I forget his name, but he was like 7 foot something, really tall, like real skinny. And I remember like, because he'd be going to class, and so like you walk on campus and you happen to walk by him, and I would just be like, oh my gosh, like he's just so tall, like that's wild. It's not every day I get to like look up to somebody. Like,
literally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Nice. No, nothing. No, I was trying to whatever.
You're like, okay.
No, I'm secure.
You're tall too.
Oh, and I don't. No, I'm average height. No, don't worry. I'm fine. We're good.
But yeah, I want to know what it's like to be. I mean,
No, totally.
literally was at the airport and Matumbo was there, and he's a huge man. I'm just like, oh my God. Could you imagine Shaq trips and falls on you? You're like dead.
I feel like Shaq's dead at that point. Like, you know, how does he get up?
I don't know.
He's gotta be a heavy man.
It must suck for him though, because he has to have everything custom made for it, like a bed that's long enough for him, shoes that fit, you know,
doors.
I mean, he's got money, so it's not like it's tough, but you know,
I'd like to see his house and how big the doorways
right?
are.
Everything must be scaled giant.
Yeah.
Is his like countertop
I was
higher?
just thinking that. Like his stove is like a foot higher than ours or something.
I didn't even think about that. Oh
That's
my
funny.
gosh. Is his like toilet seat higher?
It might have to be. I don't know.
Otherwise he'd be like,
right.
the toilet.
Good question.
Yeah.
We should
Can I
Google
tour
that.
Shaq's house? Shaq, if you're listening, can I tour your house? And I mean that in the most like non-stalkerish way.
We'll Google it. We'll Google if there's anything about Shaq's house.
It might be.
Maybe he was on
MTV
Cribs.
Probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past
He was
it.
everywhere back then. So
Yeah.
maybe.
The fact we both had that thought
Yeah.
shows our age.
Yeah. There's probably an episode of MTV Cribs. He's like, yeah, I gotta get my stove custom made. It's a foot higher than normal.
Probably. How many calories do you think he eats in a day?
Oh
I'm sure
my
that's
God,
on
like
the internet.
3,000 plus.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right.
I didn't even. You go ahead with
do you have
your
an assignment?
I don't. So
Okay.
You go first, and maybe it'll inspire me.
Well, we'll see. I just had the thought to assign this movie after I was listening to a playlist on Spotify called Hideo Kojima's Walkman, which is just a playlist that somebody put together of like every song that Hideo Kojima, the famous game designer, has ever like posted about. And one of the songs, as I was listening to that playlist this week, one of the songs was the theme song to The Never-Ending Story, which is a movie that I grew up with like as a very small child. It's very like surreal. Anyway, obviously I'm assigning The Never-Ending Story.
I've seen that.
You've seen that?
That's with that like white creature thing that flies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Falcor?
I've seen that.
You've seen that?
I've seen it. I'm
Have
sorry.
have you seen The Never-Ending Story 3?
No.
Maybe we could do that one. Well, shoot. Dang. Okay.
I'm
All right.
sorry.
I wanted to watch The Never-Ending Story.
We can watch it. It's not for the podcast.
Ah,
I've seen it.
No, I don't want to watch it outside. I don't want to watch it that bad. All right. Then in that case, I'm gonna give you a backup that I had.
Okay.
Yeah. Why not? I'm gonna give you Hot Rod.
Okay.
You know exactly what I'm talking
I know
about.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
You
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've not seen it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're going with that because Never-Ending Story was taken off the table.
I don't even know what I want to give you. I think I might go for something a little serious. I feel like the last few have been like comedies that I've given you.
Yeah, I've been intentionally trying to give you more lighthearted stuff.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. For a while there, it was real depressing.
Yeah, my bad.
No, it's okay.
Depressing picks coming back soon.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna give you a movie that I absolutely loved when I was a child. Should I have been watching this as a child? Absolutely not.
Oh, love it. Okay, yeah. What is it?
Definitely not appropriate for a kid. I'm gonna give you Coyote Ugly.
I have not seen. I've seen scenes of that. That's the. I know what that is. Okay. Is this gonna be an After Dark episode or
No.
All right.
I don't think it's rated R.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. But But it's
It's just like
there's suggestive dance.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit sexy, too sexy for like a 6-year-old to be watching, you know?
Sure. For the all right,
Yeah.
so the people know. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, cool.
All right. So next week it'll be Coyote Ugly and
Hot
Rod. Yeah, this podcast has really gone downhill, hasn't it? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
These are fun picks.
Yeah, no, yes, that'll be fun. I think those two will work well in tandem with each other. All right.
Yeah.
We will
All
see
right.
you then.
Bye.
Have a good week. Bye.